Rev up your engines! Yes, even Toyota Tundras break down my grandson's vehicle, and his oil light comes on and off at random times. Now I realize this baby's got some mileage on it. 222,499 miles. And it also has check engine lights on, but this is Tennessee, so it's running perfectly fine. Doesn't have to be inspected every year. It's never inspected at all, so if it runs okay, a lot of stuff you can ignore, but you don't want to ruin your engine for lack of oil pressure. The oil pump pumps the oil from the bottom of the engine to the top. It drains down, and it's a closed system. It just keeps pumping it through. Well, if you really have low oil pressure, the top of the engine's the first thing that's going to go. The overhead cams, they won't get lubrication, they'll eat the bearings up, destroy the engine. So you don't want something like low oil pressure to ruin your engine. But on the other hand, a lot of times it's the messenger and not the engine. In this case, the oil pressure setting unit. They will often go bad. They'll give bad data to the computer. The computer will make the oil pressure go way too low, but it's actually not low. It's just saying that it's low because the sending unit that sends the information out is broken. If this ever happens to you when you're on the road, your oil pressure light either comes on, or if it's got a gauge, the pressure goes real low. Here's a tried and true way to tell you if you're actually lost your oil pressure. If the engine sounds normal like this, it isn't going clang, 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 clang. It really has oil pressure. If this really had no oil pressure right now, the engine would be going clangity, 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 clang. Shut it off and don't drive it. This one sounds okay. Now you can see here, this has a gauge. The oil pressure is pretty good. It's in the middle, right? It does have a check engine light on, but as it stands now, it's okay, but sometimes it goes way down to the bottom. And let's face the facts, most cars these days, they don't have oil pressure gauges, you just have an idiot light. So if your oil light comes on, picture of an oil can or something says oil, you don't want to drive it if it's clanging. But if it sounds like this and is normal, that usually means the sending unit is better, the wire came off. So, you never know with modern computer systems. So, first thing we're going to do, we're going to turn up our giant Autel scan tool and diagnose everything. And you can see it works fast. It's already diagnosed it. Got the code. We're going to do a standalone diagnosis. Tundra, 3URE, 2012. Full topology scan. Here we go. And while it's scanning it, we can see, hey, it's a pretty good system. It even shows the automatic transmission oil temperature if it gets too high. You have a water temperature gauge. You got a battery, voltmeter, and an oil pressure gauge. Now as for codes, we know the TPMS doesn't work because the tire doesn't even have sensors in it anymore. Look at the codes. We have evap codes, evac, leakage, problem with the evap system. Now if you live in an area where they do emissions testing, it would fail. You'd have to spend probably a bunch of money having the whole system checked over. This thing's been lifted. Who knows if lines are broken or not, but this is Tennessee. They don't do any emissions testing there, so we don't care about that. There's no codes about anything to do with oil pressure system problems. So what we're going to do is go to live data, start her up. Data I see is okay. We're not really worried about the other stuff because it runs okay. What we're worried about is the oil pressure. Now this shows it's about 40 psi now. It's a cold engine. Cold engines, often the pressure will be a little bit higher. It'll drop a little bit more. So that's totally normal. And when you watch these Toyotas, especially the older one, right now it's a little bit under halfway. A lot of times when it's really cold, it'll be a little higher. It'll go a little bit lower when it's warm. Cold oil's thicker. As long as it stays right near the middle, up a little or under, that's totally normal. In this case, sometimes it drops to the L. The engine sounds normal. There's no problem with it. It's actually not getting low oil pressure because it would clack like mad if it did. So, check physically to make sure the wire isn't shorting out or anything. And we'll use my grandson's broken boogie board to crawl under there. You can see here the wire's on tight. There's nothing wrong with that. It's on perfectly tight. So it's off to get an oil pressure sending unit. Now here's a tip. You don't want to buy cheap parts. Now, I'm at an O'Reilly's Auto Parts store, but they sell ones that are made in Japan. That's what you want. You don't want a Chinese one. Now since it's way up here, we got to take this cover plate off. Now you can get the wrench on the nut that's inside and turn it a little bit at a time till it comes off. Make sure you have an oil pan ready to get you any drips that might fall. The drips. And now we got it loose, we can unplug it. The plug on this end is kind of hard to get until you get it off. Then you want to get a little bit of Teflon tape, wrap it around the end of the thread, so it'll seal good. Then just screw it back in the hole. There it is, way up there. Get it in that hole. start twirling her. Screw it in, hand tight. Then get your 14mm wrench and finish it up. I find it's easier to tighten with a wrench on the top, see? Then you flip it over, do the other part. Oh, just keep going until you can't turn it anymore. You just snap the wire back in. It's all nice and tight. And we go inside, we'll unlock it, start her up. It's getting bright already. Good thing I started early in the morning. There we go. And the oil pressure's back where it should be. And as I said earlier, ignore the flashing tire pressure monitoring system because none of these bad boys have any sensors in them anymore. But before you take off, remember to check the oil. In this case, it's full and clean. My grandson just changed it. But if you're low on oil, you're going to get low oil pressure. So always check the oil before you drive it. So now it's time for a road test. That's my grandson's truck, so of course, it's almost out of gas. The windshield squirters don't have any fluid in them. Typical, but we'll take it for a little road test. And the old thing still runs pretty good. Oil pressure staying up there. We'll give it a little gas and see what the oil pressure does, and as we do, the oil pressure stays totally normal. So there you have it, low oil pressure. Fixed by replacing the sending unit. $65 part, a very short period of time, 14mm wrench, and away you go. Sometimes things are a lot easier to fix than you might think. And remember, I'm back in Tennessee now, so feel free to give me a ring. Scotty Kilmer at gmail.com. Bring your car by Monday through Friday. Let me check it out. I'm here to help. And here's some bonus questions and answers. My man 66 says, what do you think of a Toyota Mirai? Phenomenal technology. The Toyota Mirai is a hydrogen fuel cell electric car. It has electric motors. It does not have a giant battery that drives them. Instead, it has a hydrogen fuel cell. So it takes hydrogen and it turns it into electricity. A little bit of heat and water vapor comes out the tailpipe, right? One of the guys at the original Top Gear, it was James May. James May said, that was the best car I ever had, but I got to get rid of it. Because there's no place to refuel hydrogen in England here. So phenomenal technology, interesting cars, you know. But where are you going to get the hydrogen from? You know, there's no infrastructure for that. At least we have electricity, some. Not too much extra, but there is electricity in most parts, right? So you can have a battery electric car you can plug in, even though it's going to take a while. And if everybody did it, there'd be brownouts and all that crap. But try finding your nearest hydrogen station. Good luck on that one, you know. That's the problem. It's future technology. Maybe eventually they do. They can make ones that run on ammonia. You can move ammonia in tanker trucks just like gasoline. There's lots of things that could be done, but that's so far in the future that don't go out and buy yourself a Toyota Mirai. Where are you going to fill the thing up with hydrogen? Unless you got some great electrolysis system in your backyard, turns water into hydrogen and oxygen, and you use the hydrogen. It's doable if somebody wanted to do it, but it's a long way from being practical for a lot of people. He just says, I have scalloping bumps on the inner side of my rear tire. Honda Accord. I changed the shocks, Gabriel shocks, control arms. I get a wheel on them done every couple of months. And I still got bumps on the outside. And the ride's horrible and buzzes. I got to replace the tires. Hell, you have a problem in the rear. So, whatever mechanic you're using, forget him. Throw him down the toilet, flush them away. Go to a good alignment shop. Have them check it out. Something is wrong. If they're scalloped, the tires aren't sitting right. You change the struts, it's not the struts. But there is rear end alignment that can be done on a car. Maybe it's not aligned correctly, or a good mechanic who's an alignment guy, he might say, well, you're kind of screwed because your alignment's so far off. If you hit something, the backs aren't that strong. Let's say your wife hits curbs all the time. She might have bent some of the back suspension, right? Then it's going to sit wrong and scallop. He might say, well, this car's hit curbs, hit speed bumps, and it's bent now, and I can't readjust it because there's only one adjustment on each side, and it doesn't allow me to fix that problem because it's bent somewhere else. Find a good alignment guy and start there, because you have a problem there. And the guy that you're dealing with is obviously an idiot. He's changed all those parts, the struts, control arms. It didn't fix it. The guy obviously does not know what he's doing. Go to a good alignment shop, or if you know a really good body shop that has a frame machine that does frame work, put it on their frame machine, and they can tell you maybe your frame's bent. Those are unibody construction. They don't have a body that bolts on the frame. The whole car's a frame. And if something gets bent on it, you're screwed. There's nothing you can do about it, really. Because if it's bent, there's no thing to unbend it. It doesn't have a solid frame. Sometimes, though, you can buy subframe parts. It might need a subframe part. But start with a different mechanic who knows what he's doing, who really understands alignment. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.